In a recent trip to the Southeast, Kentucky and Tennessee, I saw some really remarkable examples of older ways of doing things, from shaker villages to silo building. And if you've watched any of my videos at all, you know that I am just a sucker for the older ways of doing work and producing beautiful things. And let me show you some of what I saw and why I appreciated it. Shaker craftsmanship has become iconic, hasn't it? And no wonder, because from the architecture to the textiles, from the furniture to the ironwork, every bit of their work is stamped with simple beauty and timeless elegance. And then besides that, every square foot of this property, from the food processing buildings to the gathering areas and the shops and the sleeping rooms, the simple cleanliness and order just radiates from these silent spaces. And I think I learned why. They believed and taught that work was worship, and that everything was to be done to the glory of God and in order to become closer to Him if they could. I also learned that these people were passionate about pacifism and about radical equality. So you can well imagine that they were persecuted and maligned through the misery of our Civil War years. But they stood their ground, and they welcomed every single person, and they fed over 100,000 meals to the struggling soldiers of North and South alike. They farmed 6,000 acres here. There were 210 buildings, or thereabouts, and 10 of them survived because a businessman from St. Louis, I think, bought it, tore them down. Well, I've got to take off. I have miles to go before I sleep, and even though there's more here to see, I feel like I've got a brand new appreciation for a group of people who were doing the best they could as they saw it, and left a lot of worthwhile evidence of the value of doing something with a much longer view than most of us take in the work that we do. The shakers are done. According to what I just read, there are only 2 left today. But this whole undertaking has been saved and preserved and will be improved over time. There are 500 acres that have been accumulated here over the last few decades, instigated by a woman named Dee Dee Hall, who was referred to by a lovely lady that I spoke to here as a force. And because of her efforts and the efforts of I don't know how many other good folks, the efforts of the hundreds of people that dedicated some portion of their lives to this little patch of ground, is going to be around for a while yet. See that silo? That silo on this property was part of what had been an Amish dairy. There's lots of Amish folk around here in Kentucky, and it's just a pleasure to kind of see what they do and from a distance see the way they live. I mean, I have a lot of respect for those people. But as I was looking at this from a distance, I just didn't understand at all what I was seeing. You know, with those horizontal straps, and it looks like maybe it was either wooden planks on end, or maybe those are form lines. And Andrew said, no, those are concrete blocks that are stacked, dry stacked, as it turns out, and then banded together. Have a look at this. So I'm going to bring you in a little closer here in a minute. But when I walked over here a couple hours ago in between rainstorms, it became obvious that somebody poured this up against corrugated tin. And see, they're about 1 foot wide, and I'll say, maybe that's 3 feet long, maybe 32 inches. And there's some sort of a slight interlocking sort of a mechanism that may be the pattern on corrugated tin again. I don't know. But just look at that. The joints are staggered, and it's dry stacked. And Andrew pointed out to me that it's understood around here. In fact, they have another one of these on the property that is, I think, partially dismantled, perhaps. But if you back into that with a tractor or something, it doesn't budge because it's all keyed together. It's a series of keystones all the way around the perimeter, and it acts in many ways as if it were a cast wall. Look at that. You can see that there's a little interlocking thing there that multiplied by many places would make a pretty strong wall. Maybe there's something cast inside of there. Maybe they just plugged a hole. Looks like some mortar squished through a hole. And I don't know how deep those things are, but I've never seen or imagined anything like this. And that's got to be one of the real benefits of getting out of your own home county, right? You get to see things you had never entertained as a possibility. And a dry stack concrete block silo, got to be 60 feet tall, is one of those things for me. Thanks for watching, and keep up the good work.